On May 1st, 1989, Disney MGM Studios opened its gates for the first time to guests. This park was a working studio where animation and live-action productions were made. Today, the park is named Hollywood Studios and has moved on from the real production aspect and has become more about taking you into the world of Disney films. However, one thing of classic MGM Studios exists today, and that's the various tributes to old school Hollywood around the park. Michael Eisner said it best in his opening day speech. Quote, "The Hollywood that never was and always will be." Throughout Hollywood Boulevard, Echo Lake, and Sunset Boulevard are buildings that are actually replicas of real buildings in Los Angeles and around the Los Angeles area that were built around the 1920s or 1930s. So let's take a journey through Hollywood Studios and discover these real-life locations and why they are significant to the history of Hollywood.
Hey you, do you live in Disney World?
Nope.
Exactly. Do you wish you lived in Disney World?
No, not really.
Well, that doesn't matter. This video is brought to you by Magic Candle Company. I love these scents. I have these candles burning all the time in my office while I'm making these videos and writing these scripts. I've been a customer of Magic Candle Company for a long time. My favorite scent is probably Flying Over Africa. They are so authentic and smell exactly like the actual attraction. It's insane. I personally recommend going to magiccandlecompany.com and getting one of their bundles because you get 4 of their magical fragrances, either the candle bundles or the fragrance oil bundles. I personally love, and I know you will love them too. And check this out, I have a deal for you. If you buy any product, you can get 15% off if you use my code BigBeautifulDiz15 for 15% off your order. Just put it in the discount code. It'll work. You can save some money. And yeah, thank you so much to Magic Candle Company for sponsoring this video. Again, BigBeautifulDiz15. Go to magiccandlecompany.com. Thank you, and back to the video.
The first landmark is the entrance itself. The ticket booths are modeled after the front of the Pacific Auditorium. This venue opened in 1935 and was located at 7600 Beverly Boulevard, Los Angeles, California. The Pacific Auditorium was built and designed by Werdeman and Beckett. The building was famous for being one of the finest examples of streamlined modern architecture. In 1938, the Pacific Auditorium added an ice rink. At the time, it was the largest ice rink in the world, and because of this, the venue hosted the Icecapades many times, and UCLA ice hockey. It was also home to UCLA basketball. Because of its state-of-the-art architecture and facility, the Pacific quickly became the premier indoor venue in Los Angeles. Elvis Presley performed here on October 28th and 29th, 1957. 2 presidents gave speeches here. Dwight D. Eisenhower in 1952, and Richard Nixon in 1960. In 1972, the Los Angeles Convention Center opened. This new building was larger, and the events that were taking place at the Pacific were now happening at the Convention Center instead. Pacific Auditorium closed in 1972. It was then left abandoned for years. In 1978, it was added to the National Register of Historic Places. The 1980 musical Xanadu used the exterior of the auditorium to portray an abandoned building that, in the movie, later becomes a disco roller rink. The interior shots in the movie were not filmed in the actual auditorium. In the 80s, the Pacific became a place for vandals to break into. On July 4th, 1982, a fire broke out due to fireworks being set off. In May 1983, another fire damaged the northern end of the building. Countless small fires happened between 1972 and 1989. These fires didn't help an already dilapidated auditorium. On May 24th, 1989, a man broke into the auditorium and a little before 7 p.m. used a flammable liquid to start more than one fire. Minutes later, the entire building was engulfed in flames. It took over 200 firefighters to put out the fire. By then, the entire building had burnt to the ground. The last of the iconic towers fell around 10 p.m. A 42-year-old man was arrested and he confessed to starting the fire. He also confessed to breaking into the building many times before. The suspect was released due to the lack of evidence and never charged with arson. Despite being destroyed, the rubble of the building sat abandoned again for years until it was finally removed and turned into Pan Pacific Park. Immediately upon entering Hollywood Studios, we see the crossroads of the world. Of course, at the very top of the Hollywood Studios replica is Mickey on top of the globe. Mickey's right ear is actually a lightning rod. Crossroads of the World opened in 1936 and is still located at 6671 Sunset Boulevard, Hollywood, California. In the early 1900s, Charles H. Crawford was living in Seattle, Washington, and operated casinos. Around 1910, Seattle's mayor began investigating Charlie's activities. This made Charlie and some of his crew move down to Los Angeles. Here, he opened the Maple Bar. Charlie quickly found himself being a mob boss, in charge of the ruthless City Hall gang. These gangsters were dangerous and powerful. Unfortunately for Charlie, Los Angeles elected a new mayor that decided to investigate what was happening in the crime scene and clean it up. Charlie was arrested for numerous crimes. After his empire had fallen, Charlie publicly attempted to clean up his life, focusing on real estate and claiming to have found God with the help of his wife. He started a magazine called Critic of Critics. Behind the scenes, none of the things he was saying was true. The magazine was actually a secret propaganda campaign against certain city officials. On May 20th, 1931, Charles H. Crawford met with handsome Dave Clark in his office at 6665 Sunset Boulevard. Charlie was shot and killed in his own office that day. After her husband's death, Ella Crawford was left with two small daughters. After the trial of her husband's killer, she now faced the IRS coming after Charlie's estate for over $42,000 in back taxes. Ella Crawford now owned everything her husband owned, including an entire block on Sunset Boulevard. She decided to turn 6671 Sunset Boulevard into a shopping center, including 6665 Sunset Boulevard, her husband's old office. She hired architect Robert V. Dura to helm the project. Crossroads of the World has buildings that take inspiration from Cape Cod, Italian, French, Old English, and early Californian styles. The main building is in the shape of a ship. This next one is a simple one. The Oscar Super Service quote-unquote gas station is just based on the look of Mobile service stations from the 30s around Los Angeles. The dark room takes inspiration from two different buildings. The main architecture of the building borrows from 7290 Beverly Boulevard, Hollywood, California. This was built in the early 30s. The storefront takes from the actual dark room that was located at 5380 Wilshire Boulevard, Hollywood, California. This was a camera store that opened in 1935. It was known for its 9-foot-tall camera facade on the front of the window. Today, the location where the darkroom was is now boarded up, but the original camera facade is still behind those boards today. The darkroom's neon sign is now owned by the Museum of Neon Arts. Cover story, which is connected to the darkroom in Hollywood Studios, is inspired by the McGraw-Hill building on 330 West 42nd Street in New York City. It is one of the two buildings in Hollywood Studios that isn't inspired by a real structure in either Los Angeles or the Los Angeles area. The McGraw-Hill building is a 33-story skyscraper in New York City. It was constructed in 1930 and served as the offices for publishing giants James McGraw and James Hill. In 1972, McGraw-Hill moved to 1221 Avenue of the Americas. It was sold for $5.5 million, and it has since had numerous owners. At Hollywood Studios, Cover Story is a merchandise store. Also connected to those stores is Celebrity 5 and 10. The outside of the Disney home decor store is inspired by J.J. Newberry Co., located at 6600 Hollywood Boulevard, Hollywood, California. J.J. Newberry Co. was built in 1928 and was a popular five and dime store. The building was built by J.J. Newberry and is notable for its Art Deco design. In the 1930s, it was a very popular shopping destination. In 1984, the Hollywood Boulevard Commercial and Entertainment District was added to the National Registry of Historic Places, and this building being located in between the blocks of 6200 and 7000 on Hollywood Boulevard meant it was also added to the registry. Today, it is a store called Hollywood Toys and Costumes. And by the way, this registry, a lot of these buildings are added to this registry. The building next to Celebrity 5 and 10 was called Sweet Success. It doesn't really have an official name anymore. The storefront is an homage to Chapman Park Market building on 3451 West South Street, Los Angeles, California. Now known as Chapman Plaza, it was built in 1928 and was one of the first markets in the western United States designed for cars. At the end of Sunset Boulevard on the right side is Trolley Car Cafe. This building is based off the Pacific Electric Railway IV substation at 9070 Venice Boulevard, Culver City, California. Ivy Substation was built in 1907 to be a substation for the Los Angeles Pacific Railway. In 1911, it became part of the Pacific Electric Railway. It housed power equipment. In 1981, it was added to the National Register of Historic Places. Now, the building is actually a theater. In Hollywood Studios, LA Prop Cinema Storage was a merch store that opened in this building in 1991. In 2012, Disney and Starbucks partnered to bring Starbucks to each of the 6 United States Disney parks. LA Prop Cinema Storage closed in 2014 and became that park's Starbucks location. The Trolley Car Cafe opened in 2015 and has been operating ever since. The small fountain near the Hollywood Junction Ticket Central and the traffic signal is actually a replica of the William Mulholland Memorial Fountain, which is located in Los Angeles at the intersection of Los Feliz Boulevard and Riverside Drive. The Mulholland Fountain has been there since 1940, and is also right at the base of Griffith Park, which, if you don't know, is actually on a mountain. To the right of the hub is the Hollywood Brown Derby. This sit-down restaurant is Hollywood Studios' #1 restaurant, and much like the restaurant it's based on, many celebrities have dined here, including Michael Jackson and Macaulay Culkin. Actually, they dined here together. There's pictures of it. The original Brown Derby doesn't exist anymore. The Brown Derby was a chain of restaurants around Los Angeles. In 1926, Robert H. Cobb, Wilson Misner, and Herbert Somborn opened the very first Brown Derby restaurant on 3427 Wilshire Boulevard. There are a lot of conflicting stories about where the name came from. One of them says that the restaurant was named after another restaurant in Long Island, New York, that was popular with vaudevillians. Another story was that it was named after New York governor and presidential candidate Al Smith, who was famous for wearing derby hats. The Brown Derby's architecture was unique, since it was designed to look like a Brown Derby hat, to capture the attention of people passing by. The second Brown Derby opened on Valentine's Day in 1929 at 1628 North Vine Street, Hollywood, California. This was the location that was replicated in Hollywood Studios, and the most famous location because of its location in Hollywood. Since it was located in Hollywood, it was popular with celebrities. Celebrities who've dined at this Brown Derby include Rudolph Valentino, Clark Gable, who, according to legend, proposed to Carole Lombard in booth number 5 in early 1939. Sid Groman, who came in for dinner with mouth work being done and he needed something easy to chew. He was served the Cobb salad that night. Alfred Hitchcock, Shirley Temple, who claims that the drink named after her was actually invented at the Brown Derby. The Brown Derby was also featured in numerous movies and TV shows. The film What Price Hollywood in 1931, and an episode of I Love Lucy, Season 4, Episode 17, LA at Last, are some examples. A third Brown Derby opened at 9537 Wilshire Boulevard, Beverly Hills, California, in the 1930s. In 1937, the first Brown Derby restaurant moved to 3377 Wilshire Boulevard, just a block from its original location. The fourth Brown Derby opened in 1941 at 4500 Los Feliz Boulevard, Los Angeles, California. This location closed in 1960. In 1980, the original Wilshire Brown Derby closed without warning. Before the building was fully demolished, people protested outside the building to try and save the historic structure. Developers did save and restored the Brown Derby hat portion of the building. The rest of the building was demolished. The Derby hat structure was placed on the roof of the building that resides at that address today. In 1985, the Brown Derby in Hollywood was closed because of a lease dispute. 2 years later, in 1987, a fire destroyed the kitchen. The building sat abandoned for years after. The building was demolished in 1994 after the 94 Northridge earthquake. The Beverly Hills Brown Derby closed in 1982 and was demolished a year later. Today, the Los Feliz Brown Derby is a bank and a restaurant called Meshel Kitchen. This is the only building remaining of the 4 structures originally built for the Brown Derby. In 2006, it was declared as a historical landmark. The Hollywood Brown Derby in Hollywood Studios is the only Brown Derby still operating today. Located in the middle of the park is the Chinese Theater. From opening day to August 13th, 2017, the Chinese Theater was home to the Great Movie Ride. Now it is home to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which opened on March 4th, 2020. Of course, the Chinese Theater is a 1-to-1 scale recreation of Groman's Chinese Theater, which is located on Hollywood Boulevard in Los Angeles. Sid Groman was a businessman that owned many theaters in the 1920s. Sid Groman wanted a theater that gave moviegoers an experience, a quote, theatrical dinner, not just popcorn. Sid Groman built the theater for $2 million. Groman's Chinese Theater opened in 1927 and offered an experience unlike no other. In the early days of the theater, elaborate productions would take place before the movie started. The second film to ever play at the theater, The Gaucho, opened with Douglas Fairbanks, who was in the movie, performing on the stage. Groman's Chinese Theater became immensely popular for its grand movie premieres. This started with Hell's Angels, a movie, not the Bike Club. Fans lined up 1.5 miles down Hollywood Boulevard to see these premieres. The Chinese Theater hosted the Academy Awards from 1944 to 1946. The most famous premiere happened in 1977 when Star Wars premiered. Movie premieres still happen here to this day. The Chinese Theater also has appeared in numerous films, including Blazing Saddles. Outside of Groman's Chinese Theater are handprints in the cement. It's not known how this tradition started, but it's rumored that actress Norma Talmadge accidentally stepped on wet concrete during construction. The oldest handprints are from 1927, belonging to Douglas Fairbanks and Mary Pickford. I can't name all the celebrities that have handprints here because there are just way too many, but handprint ceremonies still happen to this day. Here's a few celebrities that have handprints. Mel Brooks, Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, Daniel Radcliffe, Whoopi Goldberg, Marilyn Monroe, Shirley Temple, Bing Crosby, Judy Garland, Humphrey Bogart, Roy Rogers, and Trigger, Gene Autry, Doris Day, Frank Sinatra, Julie Andrews, Dick Van Dyke, Gene Kelly, and more. This tradition also happened at Hollywood Studios from 1989 to 1995. Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Goofy, and Roger Rabbit have their handprints on opening day. Other celebrities include Robin Williams, Betty White, John Travolta, Sylvester Stallone, Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, George Lucas, C-3PO, and R2-D2, and more. If we turn around and go back down Hollywood Boulevard, the first building on our right is Keystone Clothiers, which sells Disney clothing. Interestingly enough, this store combines elements from 4 different buildings around LA. The corner is based on the Julian Medical Building, which is located at 6380 Hollywood Boulevard, Los Angeles, California. The Julian Medical Building is considered a masterpiece in architecture, combining Art Deco and streamlined modern styles. It was designed in 1933 by Morgan Walls and Clements and opened in 1934. The second floor has been occupied by medical offices, but the third floor was an Owl drugstore. Now, the first floor is a Popeyes. The side of Keystone Clothiers replicates the Municipal Light, Water, and Power Service Center at 2417 Daly Street, Lincoln Heights, California. The real service center was opened in 1937 and is literally just a Los Angeles Water and Power office. Another entrance to Keystone Clothiers is based on 1666 North Highland Avenue, Hollywood, California. This address was where legendary makeup artist Max Factor had his studio. Max Factor bought the building in 1928, but it didn't open until 1931. The Max Factor building was designed by Charles Lee in the Hollywood Regency Art Deco style. Over the years, many legendary figures in the movie industry, like Marilyn Monroe and Lucille Ball, came here to get their makeup or hair done. Today, the Max Factor building is part of the Hollywood Museum. Max Factor's studio was restored in 2003, and guests of the Hollywood Museum can tour and see the studio. The last entrance of Keystone Clothiers is inspired by Wilshire Bowl, which was located at 5655 Wilshire Boulevard, Los Angeles, California. The Wilshire Bowl was actually a nightclub that opened in 1935 and was famous for its small Art Deco tower designed by Max Maltzman. The nightclub offered dinner and dancing. Phil Harris's orchestra played here most nights. The building changed owners in 1943 and became another nightclub called Slapsy Maxie's. That club closed, and then Mardi Gras, another nightclub, opened. The building was demolished in 1950 and was replaced by a coffee shop that opened in 1951. The coffee shop was then demolished as well and is now a Staples and partly an IHOP. The front entrance of Disney & Co. is a replica of the Agfa Ansco Film Exchange Incorporated building, located at 6424 Santa Monica Boulevard, Los Angeles, California. Agfa Ansco is a producer of photographics, films, paper, and cameras. In 1937, the company built a new office, warehouse, and film storage facility. The building was designed by T.H. Petit and was a blend of Art Deco and streamlined modern styles. It's made of brick, concrete blocks, and reinforced concrete floors to make sure that the building was fireproof due to the highly flammable film at the time. Agfa Ansco moved out in the late 1950s and has since been listed as a Los Angeles Historic Cultural Monument. The other part of Disney & Co. is a replica of Security First National Bank at 5209 Wilshire Boulevard, Los Angeles, California. This bank was a major financial institution around LA. The historic Art Deco building was built in 1929. Pluto's Toy Palace is a reference to Moxley's Veterinarian Dog and Cat Hospital located at 940 North Highland Avenue, Los Angeles, California. Dr. Alexander Moxley built the hospital in 1930, and it was his vet office for the most of the 30s. The hospital is known for its Art Deco design and the Dalmatian statue on top of the building. In Hollywood studios, the statue of Pluto is on top of the building. Okay, if we start to head down Sunset Boulevard, we will see the Legends of Hollywood store. This building is a replica of the Academy Theater. This legendary theater was opened on the same night as the world premiere of Another Thin Man on November 9th, 1939. The Academy Theater was originally built to host the Academy Awards, but that never ended up happening. S. Charles Lee was the architect. This was the first theater he designed. The Academy Theater was immensely popular during the Great Depression, as Los Angeles families would go to the movies to escape from reality. This was a countrywide phenomenon, actually. The Academy Theater is now a church. What used to be the memories of the Silver Screen, then Planet Hollywood Superstore, is now themed as the Majestic Theater. It's just part of Legends of Hollywood, pretty much. The storefront is a replica of La Arena Theater. a theater that opened on November 23, 1938, located at 14626 Ventura Boulevard, Sherman Oaks, California. La Arena Theater was also designed by S. Charles Lee. It was a medium-sized theater and shown first-run movies. It was purchased by Mann Theaters chain, who operated the theater until April 3, 1986, when it closed. La Arena was then sold to developers who wanted to use the parking lot for a new shopping mall. The theater's auditorium was demolished, but the marquee and sign was saved from demolition. In 1995, the vertical tower was damaged by the Northridge earthquake. Sunset Club is a gift shop on Sunset Boulevard. It's actually a replica of the Oakland Floro Depot, located at 1900 Telegraph Avenue, Oakland, California. You know who else is from Oakland? Gold medalist Alyssa Liu. Wonder if she knows about Sunset Club. The Oakland Floro Depot is a beautiful Art Deco building designed by Albert Evers in 1931. The building was originally built for several shops and a large restaurant. Part of the building was occupied by a flower business. That's why it's called the Flower Depot. After being vacant for years, it was being considered for a location for a department store. The building was going to be demolished. But thanks to the work of the Art Deco Society of California bringing awareness to the importance of the building, it was preserved and is now the home to a bar called Gold Palm, a restaurant called Zolo Taqueria, and a music venue called Crybaby. The store once upon a time is a replica of the Carthay Circle Theater that was once located at 6316 San Vicente Boulevard, Beverly Hills, California. This legendary theater opened on May 18, 1926 with the premiere of The Volga Boatman. Carthay Circle Theater became very popular and showings of movies started consistently selling out. Premieres at Carthay Circle were major events with crowds of people and cars lining up down many blocks. Gone with the Wind premiered here. Carthay Circle was important to Disney history too, because Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and Fantasia both premiered here. The Carthay Circle Theater closed in 1969 and was demolished. Carthay Circle is also remembered in California Adventure with the Carthay Circle restaurant. For 35 years, the Theater of the Stars has been home to Beauty and the Beast live on stage. Originally, this theater was located where Legends of Hollywood is now. When it opened, a show called Hollywood, a star-studded spectacular called it home. Then Dick Tracy starring in Diamond Double Cross, followed by Hollywood's Pretty Woman, and finally Beauty and the Beast live on stage. After the Sunset Boulevard expansion, the Theater of the Stars moved to where it's located today, and they put a roof over the audience seating. Theater of the Stars is actually supposed to look like the Hollywood Bowl. The legendary venue opened in 1924 and has hosted many concerts by the Los Angeles Philharmonic. The Hollywood Bowl is one of the most legendary concert venues in the world, and many legendary concerts have taken place at this venue. The Hollywood Bowl is still open today, and concerts still take place here mostly every night, especially in the summer. Beverly Sunset Boutique is based on the Warner Bros. Beverly Theater, which was located at 9404 Wilshire Boulevard, Beverly Hills, California. The theater opened on May 19, 1931, and for many decades was a deluxe theater that showed prestige films. The first feature shown was The Millionaire. B. Marcus Bertecca designed the prestigious theater. White Christmas premiered on the West Coast at this theater in 1954. After decades of grand premieres, many of the large Beverly Hills theaters were closing and being turned into parking lots and other buildings. In the late 1970s, the now renamed Beverly Theater closed as a movie theater and for a short time operated as a live theater. It then became a rock concert venue called the Beverly, but after noise complaints, it closed in 1987. It was then demolished after being shut down. What's now part of Beverly Sunset in Hollywood Studios used to be called Villains in Vogue. Villains in Vogue has since closed, but the storefront is still inspired by the Pasadena Winter Garden Ice Rink. The Pasadena Winter Garden Ice Rink was built in 1940 and was located at 171 South Aurora Parkway, Pasadena, California. The ice rink was home to Blade and Edge Figure Skating Club and the home rink of world and Olympic champion Peggy Fleming. Cliff Henderson, who also owned the Pan Pacific Arena, owned the rink. The Pasadena Panthers, a hockey team in the California Ice Hockey League, played here. The rink is known for its beautiful Art Deco design. The Pasadena Winter Garden Ice Rink closed in 1966. The rink itself was demolished, but the Art Deco entrance was preserved. It was turned into a U.S. post office and is now a public storage facility. The last building I'm going to talk about is more of a character than an actual building. Dinosaur Gertie's Ice Cream of Extinction is an ice cream stand that is barely ever open, but you can see Gertie the dinosaur all the time. She resides in Echo Lake and is actually based on two different things. In 1914, animator Winsor McKay made an animated short film called Gertie the Dinosaur. It is actually the first animated film to feature a character with a distinct personality. The short was groundbreaking and inspired many animators and filmmakers, including Walt Disney himself. So Gertie is a tribute to that influential short film and also a nod to the California crazy architectural style of the 1930s. Cabazon Dinosaurs is a roadside attraction in Cabazon, California that features two giant dinosaur statues. One of them is named Dinny. Sculptor Claude Bell began construction on the 45-foot high, 150-foot long Brontosaurus in 1964. Dinny was completed in 1975. The roadside attraction is actually still there. Hollywood Studios has changed a lot since the opening in 1989, but these tributes to 1920s and 1930s Hollywood remind us what the park truly stands for.